technology and progress are one and the same. There is no difference. In the OG days, like founding fathers, like early on in our country, it was people would do public service. Like they would do epic stuff in the real world, and then they would go do a stint of public service. It'd be like, yo, bro, we need you. You're smart. You got to come give back to the country. If we're fighting over a growing pie, everyone can get behind that. But if the pie is fixed or growing imperceptibly slowly, that's when people stop looking up, looking at the stars and be hopeful. They start looking to their left and right and say, hold on, this person has this person has this. Like, if you are not growing, you're dead.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the California Future Society podcast. So I'm on X yesterday, and I see this video. Someone I follow, and I recognize their face, beard, long hair, standing there in a suit in front of charred, burnt remains in the Palisades that have yet to be cleared. And the first line of the video is, can anyone tell us what the fuck is going on with California? And I was immediately hooked. I had to watch the whole announcement. And it was today's guest, Dick Lucas, announcing his bid for the 51st Assembly District of California. Now, look, Dick will be the first to tell you he is not a conventional candidate. He describes himself as neither right nor left. He hasn't even picked which party he's going to be running on. But the issues that he raises are actually things that I think will resonate with a lot of Californians. I was looking up some polling data, and recently here's how Californians say they feel about their state government. 54% say that they feel the state is headed in the wrong direction. And if you ask them what their top concerns and priorities are, it's inflation in the economy, housing costs, and issues around the environment and fires. And these are all things that Dick raises. He prioritizes, and he argues that the current options being offered to Californians by the established parties, right and left, are insufficient. They're not meeting the needs. We are not growing fast enough. We're not embracing growth. And as Dick describes in our conversation, he's all about growth. He's all about making the future more dynamic, more innovative. He's all about being pro-technology. I had a lot of fun just talking to Dick. Really dynamic, has a lot of fun sound bites. And I think you'll have a lot of fun listening to him as well, hearing about his background, why he decided to take the plunge and run for state assembly, and what his core beliefs are. So without further ado, the one, the only candidate, Dick Lucas. Dick, I'm so excited for this. My whole podcast and a lot of my work is premised on this idea that I think there's a lot of political discontent in California and an interest in seeing something innovative, something new. So when I saw your video announcing your candidacy for assembly, it was very fresh. It was very distinct. So I'm really excited to talk to you today and to get to know you more and learn more about your vision. So to start off, can you introduce yourself and explain your connection to California?
Yes, awesome. Thank you for having me, Jared. Yeah, you and the technology brothers reached out, and I was like, okay, I'll take anything I can get right now. So I'm saying yes, and I really appreciate you taking the time to do this. And shortly, I just said, let's do it today, and you're like, boom, let's do it. So I appreciate it. I'm Dick Lucas. I connection to California, born and raised here. I say in the video, I'm a sixth generation. It was funny. I was like, I asked my parents. I was like, how long have we been here? My sister filled out a housing, like a real estate application previously. And in her little blurb, she said, oh, I'm a third generation. I'm like, oh, I've never thought about that. She's like, I'm a third generation California. And then I was like, wait, and then she did more research. And then it turns out we're fourth. And then my mom came in over the top. I was like, no, hold on. We're six. So I kept updating the site before I launched because we kept learning that it actually goes back further. So deep history in California. Like I said in the video, sixth generation California. My great grandfather came here in a covered wagon train. Been in LA most of my life. I grew up in Glendale, California, went to Notre Dame High School, went to Holy Redeemer, elementary school in Montrose, right by Glendale. Then I went to Boston College. And I've been in a few different places. I was in SF for a year and a half. And it's so interesting because I think about the time I was in SF, I was so disengaged with, even what was that 2018-ish. I was like, I would walk through, people would try to sell me drugs. Like when I'm walking from the library, I'd see and it was so funny that time I didn't make the connect. I wasn't like, damn, we should, obviously I wasn't saying this is awesome, but I also wasn't like, who is my state assembly person? Like who's on city council? I think I was just young. I was younger. I don't know, but it's crazy to think back. And now I have such an when I see something done that's, I don't think is great. I have an aversion to it. So now I'm fired up, and I'm trying to get in the arena, put my hat in the ring, and we'll see what I can do.
Well, Tell us about the moment that you decided, hey, I'm going to make this a thing and actually go for it. Because a lot of people gripe about politics. A lot of people say, if I had power, here's XYZ what I'd like to do. When was the moment for you?
Yes. So it feels like it's a big intellectual journey for me. I had a podcast like yourself. I tried to have, I'd have people on. Um, and I remember explicitly it wasn't a political podcast. I would just have people on and we'd riff, like mostly like, oh, what are you doing? Like, what's this thing you're working on? Okay, you're an actor, you're a golfer, whatever. And then um, I started. It shifted to where, okay, I actually think I want to talk more about politics. It was called No Gradient, and I haven't published on there in 3 years. But uh, it was like I then explicitly started talking about more political stuff, mostly still about technology. But then it finally, I was like, uh, even in those moments, I had a few tweets sometimes that they didn't go viral, not like what I have now, but they would do okay. And then at the end of it, I'd be, oh, this is super cool. But then it's like nothing would happen. Like, okay, you know, part of a huge part of politics is culture and getting the message out. And obviously that is probably, I mean, that's probably the biggest part of it. But the other part is like, you actually have to run and do something. Um,
Yeah.
so I felt like talking into a mic and just like going on, like, especially talking about things that I could maybe have an impact on. I've been thinking about it for a while, and then I was doing these voter guides. So I'd go through every single thing on the ballot in Los Angeles, and
Yeah.
for California voters, I'd read every single proposition and really try to understand every issue. And dude, going through that exercise, I realized, dude, there's no, like, help isn't coming. Like the people on there, and the line I always say is, if I would vote, most of my friends, I'm not going to point out the ones I wouldn't vote. Most of my friends, I think, are generally smart people. I think they can take in information. I think they want to do good things. I think they would be better politicians than what we have in a lot of these, especially these local races. Well, at federal levels, a whole other bag of donuts. But at the local levels, dude, these people are not. They're not like accomplished people like that. You think that, oh, this person. A lot of them they've worked in the community, which I still don't know what that means. Or they've been lawyers for a while, or they've done things that are like, they haven't never created a job. They've never built something from the ground up. They've been part of the political machine, and that's what they know. And then they run for office. And it's like, it's funny. In the OG days, like founding fathers, like early on in our country, it was people would do public service. Like they would do epic stuff in the real world, and then they would go do a stint of public service. It'd be like, yo, bro, we need you. You're smart. You've got to come give back to the country. And it almost seems like now that doesn't really exist. You're like a politician as a job,
Yeah.
which feels gross. Not every lifelong politician is bad, but I'm just like, I think we need more. If one thing, I was talking to a homie, I was like, if one thing comes out of this campaign, if the only thing that happens from it is I encourage other people to run, like more candidates, more energy towards, hold on, let's actually do it, then it will be, that will be a success. That's like that would be awesome. If it's not hard to run too, it's like you have to fill, there's forms, you get a website, you got to get a video, and then
Yeah.
you got to have free time.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I just finally was like, okay, I just need to do something. And I think the fires really pushed me over the edge recently, in
Yeah.
Palisades Fire and Eaton Fire. And I was like, okay,
Well,
it's time.
yeah, I want to dig into some of your platform, your policy beliefs. Before we do that, though, who is Dick Lucas? Tell us about your background. Tell us about some of the, like you were saying earlier, the epic stuff that you've been
Yes.
doing that
Yes.
that preceded this venture into public service.
I appreciate it. I I've been a run. I was a runner. I've been a runner since racing, and I'd raced my teachers in preschool. I remember. I've always loved running, so I competed in high school, cross country, track. Um, I competed in college. That was a big part of who I was. Playing sports, that type of stuff. Nothing crazy in terms of the growing up. I'd say a big shift was when I got my first laptop. It was an HP DV 6000 or something like that. In high school, my folks got it for me, and I got into dig.com, and I
Mm-hmm.
got into like learning about And in the OG dig.com days, there was like, oh, it was like, that's where the internet's happening in a lot of ways. Obviously there's 4chan and Reddit existed, but dig was a huge part. And I was just learning, I got really into technology. I wasn't into technology before that. I just, specifically it was software at that point. Like it was just really cool to see these networks being built up. I had a lot of and Google, I remember seeing an ad for Google, like I think it was a 60 Minutes piece or something, like about how their work culture was like. I was like, oh my God, like there's these new companies doing all these cool things. I got really into that. And then in college, I studied computer science. My line there is I always thought, I thought CS was for smart people. So I didn't declare my major till sophomore year. Like I was like, oh, I can't do this. Like it's really hard. And I gritted through it. I was an Android developer for several years. I was building Android apps. I was working at an agency in Boston, Raise Labs, which was an amazing place. And then after that, I hiked the Pacific Crest Trail with my sister in 2019. So that's in my video where I say I'm the only politician that's hiked the entire state. I don't even know if that's true. I think it probably is. I haven't, I'm sure there's a politician that's, I don't know, but probably not. Hiked from Mexico to Canada. It was 5 months, doing like a marathon a day basically. And that was a really, really cool experience. And then I came back and then started, before I left for that, Sawyer, who I initially started Full Send with, he was like, yo, we should do this thing. We were working at an agency. He's like, we should start our own, because he was freelancing on the side. And was like, yo, we should just do this. I was like, okay, let me go hike the trail. And when I come back, like, if I still want to do it, let's rip it. So props to him. And then soon after we hired, we call him Goo, Alex Goo, street name Goo. And he came on. So it's been us three building this thing.
Yeah.
And then I recently got back. I got married last June, so about a year ago. And then I traveled.
Congrats.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I traveled for like 5.5 months with my wife, and I wasn't working as much. I kind of took a backseat on that. And I think a big inspiration there too is we visited 29 countries, and you really see what the power of governance, like the difference between Singapore converting from a mud pit into one of the foremost hubs in the world. It's, I don't want to give politicians all the credit, and they definitely don't deserve all the credit, but it's just simple common sense governance stuff like, okay, property rights. Okay, let's allow people to start companies. Let's have a judicial system that people can trust. If you have these things in place, humanity's natural inclination is to flourish. So people will hustle if the canvas is there, people will create magic stuff. So a lot of countries it's just straight up bad governance, bad and corrupt. And a lot of things no country's ever gotten from third world or developing to a first world nation due to some other country saying, hey, we're going to give you all this money. We're going to help you develop. I think some of those things can be helpful, but a country needs to have a good governance system and have people that are good stewards of that system. And that is extremely powerful. So you're going from country to country. I'm like, so I came back, that had a big impact on me. And then, like I said, the voter guides, and I was like, let's rip it. But other than that, as for me, yeah, really into technology stuff, hardware stuff. Like I love what new companies are doing. I'm all about Mars. Like, let's go to Mars. Let's keep California the aerospace capital of the world. Like, let's invest in technology. Let's create an energy abundant future. Like all these things, I'm just so all in on. And all these people, I'm so inspired by all these startup founders. Sometimes some of them will be nice enough to get coffee with me. Like in the Gundo, I've reached out to somebody's got, yo, dude, let me just get coffee because I just want to like be in your aura. And it's been epic. And like, I have a lot of respect for those guys. And I'm like, damn, I want to have big impact too. So I think this is a high leverage thing. Also, yeah, I surf a bit. I run a little. I'm not training for anything right now. I'm our kid. We have a kid due in November. My wife's pregnant, so excited
Congrats,
for that. Yeah, thank you. So I don't. Yeah, like my hobbies. I read about technology. I don't know. I don't know. I just like. Yeah.
No, yeah. That I feel like it's a good picture. And I'm curious, when you were on the trail, did you have a trail name? I know I had a buddy who did it.
I did. Motorboat.
He was Mozart. Motorboat. Okay,
Mozart.
I love that.
Yeah, I was Motorboat. Yeah. And yeah, I got that a couple days. There's not really a cool story there. I mean, and it is what you expect it is. There's not really a crazy story there, but I remember the first time I use my trail name, because the first time you use it, it's really, you don't have to accept it. Someone can say, yo, you're this. And it's like, okay, well, no, I'll just wait. But it's like 3 days in, and this European girl was crying. Her water just exploded in her backpack. She's like, it just came here all the way from, I forget where, somewhere in Europe. And she was just on the side of the trail. She was just like, and I'm like, you'll be okay. Like, yeah, like you can do this. Like, she was just overwhelmed, and she's like, oh, and thank you. And what's your name? And I just go, motorboat. And that was the first time I used it. And I was like, okay, now that I've used it in that beautiful situation, I don't know if she finished, but I never saw her again. But yeah, yeah. So Mozart, that's a good trail name too. I didn't meet him. What year did your friend do it?
It's a good question. I think it was around 2018, I want to say. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I was 2019, so
maybe some overlap. Yeah.
He did 20. Yeah. Epic.
Well, anyways, we could go on about the PCT, but let's get into it. Let's get into the meat and potatoes of it. A lot of your identity, and you've already talked about it, is around technology. Yes. References to EAC movement and techno-optimism. Tell us more about that, and tell us why you think that California needs more politicians who are excited about the future of technology.
Yes. So EAC movement with Beth Bezos, Bezos, all those guys. That was definitely a big inspiration. I think a lot of the American dynamism stuff is super cool. Just people building things. Technology is fundamentally the only way that we get more for less. It's the only lever that we have. The classic Steve Jobs, the bicycle of the mind thing, where we're not efficient. We can't move more efficiently than a condor. But if we have a bicycle, we blow everyone out of the water. So it's like we're tool makers, and tools are the means by which we increase prosperity and opportunity. So to me, it's like I have this deep belief that technology technology and progress are one and the same. There is no difference. And it blows my mind how much I think your average person doesn't really fully internalize like that. Like it's something I like to think about is like when people say, oh, when you're in nature, like, oh, in the wild, or where you're when you're in nature camping or something like that. It's funny if you think about it, like in a city, we are in nature. Like, it's crazy. Like we just built all this amazing stuff to make it extremely comfortable, so then we could focus on whatever we wanted. We could be musicians, we could build a startup, we could become an artist, we could do all these cool things, because everything is like, we are in the wild. There's no such thing as city. Like, we are in the wild, and it's just hardworking people that have built all this stuff around you that makes it so it's comfortable. So I don't, obviously good policy plays a role in that. You need to have good, stuff that I already, riffed on. You need to have court systems people trust. You need to have rule of law, things like that. Of course, that's absolutely fundamental. But like, if you look at the march of nations and how they've expanded or been left behind or self-destructed, like technology is, I mean, World War II, I mean, it's technology. World War I, that's tech. It's all technology and capacity, right? Like, if you can invent one thing, but you can't build a ton of it, then that doesn't mean much. But if you can do both, which I think it's the making stuff that the U.S. can do better at. I mean, I think we're still second in the world for manufacturing, but we have such a chip on our shoulder with everything that I think people are like, okay, well, we should. China, and obviously they've blown us out of the water in a lot of ways, but we can do a lot better there. So I think the second part of your question was California specifically. Yeah, I think that California is obviously it's now the fourth biggest economy in the world, and so we obviously have a lot. The technology industry is obviously it's Silicon Valley, it's California. A lot of aerospace and a lot of cool military tech has come out of here. I think it's funny, California, especially Los Angeles, people think about entertainment. Oh, entertainment. It's like, well, no, hold on. It's aerospace and defense. LA is the aerospace and defense capital of the world, in my opinion. Like, it's unbelievable. The amount of epic stuff that's started here, and obviously Silicon Valley up north has its own game. But like, our prosperity has been a lot of I forget what the percent of the budget is, but a lot of it is we have a high capital gains rate. So when these companies like have liquidity events, Nvidia, a lot of people sold their shares in Nvidia, and it's like been a huge boon to California's budget. And Newsom, I think, is okay on the tech stuff, but it's interesting. What's interesting to me is like it's not like a full throated in support of like obviously technology companies should be held accountable. And when I say technology, I don't mean like Instagram. I think technology got co-opted by people think of tech as like a website, and that stuff is cool too. But it's also about building things. It's about it's about the world of atoms as well, which I think people lost that for a while, but now it's fully back. Everyone, the vibe is completely shifted. So, but yeah, I mean, California's done pretty good on the tech stuff. We were just talking about before this started was the AI, that AI bill that they were going to pass that Newsom vetoed, which I'm that's one of the
1047
bummers.
last year. Yeah, Scott Wiener's bill. Yeah,
Scott Wiener. I don't agree. He's got some. I think I agree with him on a lot of the housing stuff. His tech stuff, I think, is totally off. If you pass this stuff, it's just going to leave the state. Like AI is just going to leave the state. It's going to burden our AI companies, and China's just going to kick our ass. So, I think that a lot of the tech policy stuff is just kind of the do no harm thing. Like I don't think we need to. Like we already have a lot of cool startups here. I think what will help us more is like lower the cost of housing. Certainly permitting is a big part of that. Like let's make it easy to build all types of housing everywhere. Let's make the permitting process easier to build new factories. And I mean, the thing that I think really punched me in the face more than anything was when I found out, this was a couple of years ago, that Texas passed us in solar power utility scale generation.
Yeah.
And that to me was it was even a wake up moment for me where I'm like, damn, Texas doesn't care about climate change. What they do care about though is they care about building, and they make it easy to build. So it's like the fact that they're beating us at that, I think is going to break a lot of people on the left's brain. Lower the cost of housing. Certainly permitting is a big part of that. Like let's make it easy to build all types of housing everywhere. Let's make the permitting process easier to build new factories. And I mean, the thing that I think really punched me in the face more than anything was when I found out, this was a couple of years ago, that Texas passed us in solar power utility scale generation.
Yeah.
And that to me was it was even a wake up moment for me where I'm like, damn, Texas doesn't care about climate change. What they do care about though is they care about building, and they make it easy to build. So it's like the fact that they're beating us at that, I think is going to break a lot of people on the left's brains. It's like, dude, we need, and Obama just came out with something, I think today, where he was talking, or yesterday, just talking about, we need to, like, I don't care what your politics are if you literally can't allow new housing to be built. Like if all the blue states are losing, dude, like they're losing population. I mean, if you when the census comes up next year, dude, the House of Reps, the blue states are going to get our asses kicked. More people are moving to red states. And I'm not a left or a right guy, but I am saying, like, if a lot of people are like, oh, it's, people should, like, I hate, like, the biggest thing people do is like, oh, I wish, California's already too crowded, or like, we have too many people here. It's like, well, two things on that front. One, that's fine if you think it's too crowded, fine. But we're going to have even less say at our federal government. A lot of the same people that say that are like, wouldn't be happy about us having fewer representatives in Congress. And the other thing, it's like, dude, we need to have an environment. If people aren't moving here, our population went down in 2021 for the first time in our state's history. It's like, what do you think is going to happen? Like, we need to have a place where people can move. It's the whole thing is like stasis. Stasis is a myth. Societies either crumble or flourish. There's no like, oh, well, we can just hang out. Like, Europe is hanging out, and hanging out means that you're dying, because hanging out means that same pot of resources, except we're fighting over a fixed pot. If we're fighting over a growing pie, everyone can get behind that. But if the pie is fixed or growing imperceptibly slowly, that's when people stop looking up, looking at the stars and be hopeful. They start looking to their left and right and say, hold on, this person has this person has this. Like, if you are not growing, you're dead. So we need to do everything. Like, we need to do everything we can. So I think the housing thing is is a huge thing. Nuclear. I mean, we have the Diablo plant. credit to Newsom, he didn't shut it down. Of course, it's super expensive to keep running,
Yeah.
but like that's like the classic thing, like nuclear. The people being, which this vibe is shifting as well. And then I'm gonna stop my rant for a second. But nuclear energy is the
No, you're here to
cleanest.
rant. Yeah.
Yeah, no, of course. Nuclear is, and you know all this stuff, dude. I saw what I'd love for you to push back on anything, go for it. I have no problem with that. But nuclear is the cleanest, safest form of energy there is that we know of. It's like it's science fiction, and the fact that we stopped building those. Nixon had that whole plan to build 1,000 nuclear reactors by the year 2000 or something, and also the Nuclear Regulatory Commission was created, and then not like it basically stopped that. They didn't approve one new design, or it didn't approve anything for several decades. And it's like, I think what we're really, a lot of the question comes down to a lot of the, it's not like left or right. I actually think that's a false dichotomy in a lot of ways. It's the single best question you can ask someone, I think, to understand where they lie on their view of the world is growth good? Like, because some people, a lot of people don't they think of growth as pollution. They think of growth as traffic. They think of growth as, using more resources. It's like, dude, we have we have the universe. We have infinite number of resources. Resources are not an issue. Obviously, climate change, we have to, I'm not a denialist on that stuff, but it's like people don't want humanity to grow. They're like, Jane Goodall had her quote from a couple years back. She's like, I think 400 million people is the good. And this is the monkey lady everyone knows. She did good work with the monkeys. And she's like, I think 400 million people is the right amount of people on Earth. And it's funny because that sounds like, oh, she just wants it. But dude, in that saying that is like that is basically, that's basically saying you want humanity to disappear. You want less opportunity. You want to pull the rug out. A lot of thinking and policies are downstream of, I don't want there to be more growth. Like, housing is one. Like, if you don't want there to be more growth, it makes a lot of sense why a lot of these policies get passed. It makes sense why permitting is a pain in the ass, because you don't view abundant energy as a categorical good. So it's like, that to me is really where that's where the rubber hits the road for me.
No, I actually think I'm aligned on that being the core issue, and something that I think is the defining question of the moment that we're in and the future of the state. Like you're saying, if you look at California's history, I just did this episode on it last week, kind of the evolution of the California dream, and growth was one of the defining characteristics of the state. Like you were saying, just incredible growth up until 2020, but the movement started before that, the anti-growth movement.
Yes.
I don't know if you're familiar with Virginia Postrel. I'd pull out her book. It's actually holding up my microphone right now. The Future and Its Enemies. But she argues that this was written 30 years ago. I interviewed her a couple weeks ago. It's interview. She has great interviews and stuff, like summarizing.
Awesome.
One of the things is like the key dividing line in politics, in her view, is it's not so much about left or right. It's about dynamism versus stasis. A willingness to embrace change and evolution and a more dynamic future versus being a little bit more stagnant. And I think in California in particular, ever since that anti-growth movement of the 60s, 70s took off and defined a lot of the systems that we have today of slowing down growth and whatnot, I think you're onto something there. So you mentioned housing a lot. I guess one question I'm sure people would ask is, Newsom himself now is trumpeting, this year there's a big YIMBY win of getting CEQA reform passed for multifamily infill. And he and Senator Wiener and other people would argue like, hey, we're making movement, we're making progress on that. What would you say to that? What are your views on some of those recent changes?
I'm all for any improvement. So I think, and they did just pass something, I think like July 3rd, right before the 4th, they passed something. And Jared, I tried to read, and I ultimately tweeted, I was like, okay, this is cool. Like, any march towards progress. Okay, I'm going to support. I'm not just going to dunk on Newsom because, if there's a good idea, it's a good idea. But dude, I tried to read I tried to read the bill, and I'm like, I cannot. It's 30 pages, and it's like there's all these carve outs and there's all these things. So at first I was like, okay, this is awesome, and it does feel like it's an improvement, but it's a lot of I feel like we could do a whole lot better. Now it's an interesting question though, because I basically, um, like I love New York City, for example. I think that I love humanity. I love a lot of humans being, the amalgamation effects of people being close together. Magic just happens when you put a lot of humans together. Businesses get built, culture gets created. Everything that's where a lot happens. Obviously, I'm not, people that aren't in a big city. Mad respect for you as well. But I do love, I do love cities. So I love building high. I love skyscrapers. I mean, New York City's population is lower than it was like 100 years ago. And it's like, holy, that is extremely alarming to me. So yeah, some of this housing stuff, my ethos is we need to build just more. We need to make it far easier to build, and we need to build up, and we need to build more. And I know there's some things you can do at the state level, but a lot of this is the local level. And Newsom, to his credit, they passed some stuff where basically if you didn't approve a certain housing project or something, or it would like the state would come in and be like, okay, boom, this just auto approve. Like if there was a time delay on it or something like that. They've done stuff like that where the state does have some power, but a lot of this, it's an interesting dynamic, because what you really, if you want this movement to win, I really feel like you have to convince people that growth and there being more people around is a good thing. Because on one hand, yes, people have the right to vote in their communities and determine how those communities, what happens in those communities. Like, do we want high rises here? Do we not? But we've gone way too far in the direction of, no, I don't want this housing project to get built. I want not only do I want that's the scary thing. I want my property values to stay high. So why would I add supply? I also want, I want less traffic. I want to keep everything the same. So if we're going to win, we have to convince these people. We need to convince these people that if we keep going on the track we're on, like we're just going to, we need growth or we are going to die. Like we need to allow people. I mean, the classic thing in SF, most liberal city in the world, the percent of Black people that live there, I think it used to be 20 years ago, I forget, it was 20% or something, and it just keeps dive bombing. And the reason is because Black people tend to be lower income and they can't afford to live there. So the most liberal place in the world claims to be for minorities and but their policies, like, and I think a lot of people they're obviously not doing this on purpose. So it's part of what you're doing with the future society. Like we need to convince people because everyone gets to vote. So it's like, no, we need to allow this laundromat that you say is historical that can't be touched for the next 10,000 years because, what we need to convince them, no, hey, we need to make this an apartment building, or we need to build it high so that this helps lower income people. Like this is the big thing here. If a lot of these rich communities, it's like a lot of people want to help, especially on the left. They want to be the people of the poor and the working class. That's a good mission. I'm all for that. To do that, they have to be able to live. They have to be able to afford to live in, in cities, especially in cities, because that's where a lot of the opportunity is. That's a lot where the economic dynamism is. That's where some of the best jobs are. That's where they're going to happenstance run into people that can help them, like, that can be the conversation that changes their life, and somehow they get a new job or they join a completely new network they wouldn't have. So it's like, it just blows my mind. And I think housing is, I at first in my campaign website, I had the economy first, because there's the classic James Carville, it's the economy, stupid. I think that was him with the Clinton campaign. I think, of course, the economy, I mean, you look at the polling in the last presidential election, at least, I think economy was damn near one of the top things, or inflation, I think, was the top. But it's always about the economy. But I think what hits harder right now is the housing thing. Everyone feels like, damn, rent is so expensive. It keeps going up. So that's why I put that top.
No, I think it's the number one reason people cite when they leave the state. And there's a lot of people, for all the successes or recent victories, like I know Jan Schramik of California Forever, he often points out, like, he's the one trying to build that new city up in Solano County. He's like, for all these NIMBY reforms, like, where are the homes? Where are the units? Where, like, we talk about these reforms, but where are the cranes?
And that's on my website too. My fifth priority, build new cities. And obviously governments don't just build new cities, right? But the ethos there is California Forever Project. Let's flood Solana County. Like they're like excuse me, the Solana, what is it, Lake Solana, I think, or something like that. Or no, excuse me, what's the one? The Salton Sea. Excuse me, Salton Sea. Fine. If you don't want there to be high rises in Santa Monica, which Santa Monica's done an okay job. I always think we can do better, of course. I mean, I think we can do a lot better, but like, fine. If you don't want to allow that, please we have a lot of land in California. Like, let's give people an opportunity to put some common sense zoning, put some epic stuff in the city's charter that says, yes, build. And let's just let that happen. Let's support that. I'm sure the federal government, even in this administration, dude, with Trump and California don't get along. If we say to the federal government, hey, here's what we're going to do. Give us this land, the Presidio, people talk about this. That's federal land. Make it like, if you say, hey, we're going to build a bunch of, obviously I'm not talking about in nature, like public park. We have a ton of land here. You know what I like to say, dude? I like to say that if the US had 1 billion people, we would be less dense still than Germany. Like, we have so much space here, and I love nature. I mean, I hike the PCT, dude. Like, I get all this stuff, which is why I also want to build up. Like, but like let people build it. Let's build new things. It's so funny. The concept, it shows how broken our brains are today, dude, that the concept of a new city, it doesn't even compute with me. That's how brainwashed I've been. I'm like, oh, you can't just build a new city. Like, that doesn't work. But it's like, dude, every city was a startup at one point. And, they blew up for reason, Hudson Bay and stuff. And I get all, and, Chicago, dude, Bill Burnham, or it was not Bill Burnham. Who's Daniel Burnham, who built Chicago?
Oh, the architect Burnham?
Yes. Yes. Chicago World's Fair, Devil in the White City. I read that in high school. I just reread it, dude. It's just like, it just gets the blood, dude. His quote about, make no small plans. They have no magic to stir men's blood. Like, you just like, it's just that type of thinking, especially from people in the government. It's just completely dead. It's like, I don't even, dude, the things these people tweet, dude, I'm telling you at the local level, like I try to understand what these people are talking about. Like, I try to stay informed with my state senator, my state assemblyman, and I'm like, bro, what are you doing? If you're not tweeting about homelessness, the economy, or housing, like anything else, just stop. Like, I don't want to hear about anything else, because nothing else matters if we can't handle those things. And the economy's doing well in California. I think it'd be a hell of a lot better. But like I said, I think there's no reason we can't be the second biggest economy in the world behind the U.S. I just don't see. I don't see why we can't. And it's funny, Newsom, he's very good at this, dude, because I follow. Dude, the politician, they have this down to a science, dude. I follow his newsletter. And I encourage you to do that if you don't. You probably already do, but he puts out like a press release almost 2 or 3 times a day. And he'll say these things, and it's like, yo, California is the 4th biggest economy in the world. And he'll say like, we're this and we're that, which in a vacuum, that's awesome. That's true. And yes, I think our economy is still doing well. There's still a lot of startups here. I think I'm not saying, oh, we're completely screwed. But dude, what's the competition? Europe is disappearing. Japan's been stagnant. They're coming back a little bit, but it's like, dude, there's no everything. The West is disappearing right now. Everyone's just stagnating to death, except it's like we have China, which they obviously have problems, but we have the U.S. and obviously, they're in Southeast Asia. We got some countries growing there, and they're hustlers, dude. I was in Thailand and Vietnam, dude. They're all just hustling over there. But it's not, we're beating like, oh, we passed Germany. Dude, Germany shut down all their nuclear reactors and they're burning 10,000-year-old forests. Like there is no competition right now. That's what's the scariest part. It's like, it's so scary that and another thing, dude, is he'll compare gas prices. So this is the last example I'll give. Compare, oh, look, gas prices, don't listen to everyone that says gas prices are high or whatever. And he won't lie. He'll say, listen, gas prices are down 15% compared to July of last year, like as we're going to the July 4th weekend. And I'm like, yes, you're right. But dude, they're the most expensive in the country. And we are a top 8 oil producing state. So it's like, and I get he needs to, I get it. You need to convince
Yeah.
people you're in power. I get it. I'm not saying that but it's like, this is why, dude, these guys are slippery, dude, because it's like, don't look at, I think people zoom in too much. They zoom in way too much. It's like, the question isn't where were gas prices yesterday or where is homelessness? Like, are we better than a year ago? The question is blank slate. Where are we compared to the other states? And if you do it, which is, I think, the only metric that matters, us in comparison to other states, it's just, it's not good. Homelessness is not good. We're like the worst in the country. Gas prices are way too high. And it's funny, the gas prices thing, gas prices. Okay, this will be the last thing, and then the funny thing with gas prices is the poor people are the ones that spend a larger percentage of their income on fuel. Our utility electricity cost is 50% above the national average. Dude, Newsom, he just put out this clean energy thing. I'm sure you saw that California was powered 2/3 of clean energy, blah, blah, blah. Like yes, we've made progress there. Why are our utility rates 50% higher than the national average? Don't tell a poor person, don't tell someone that's spending a larger percent of their income on energy, on electricity than you, that, oh, isn't it so great that we have clean energy? Dude, they are trying to grow a family. They're trying to feed them. They're trying to save money for Christmas presents. We are shoving the green thing down people's throat, and I'm all for it. Solar is a great technology. We need to let's build more. Let's do it. But we need to lower the cost of energy as well. We need to lower the cost, and gas is the same way, dude. Gas utility coming into your house is 100% the national average, and it's like, this hurts. These are kitchen table issues, dude? Like, why are we? And another thing, I'll go here. I love I love actually running for, like, actually doing this and talking to you right now is, I'm always told, like, oh, this isn't really the setting to talk about this. Like, I stopped talking politics basically with like a lot of people leading up to this, because I was like, I'm just going to run. I'm so tired of people saying, at dinner tables, no one wants to hear politics. I get it. But like, yeah, it's never a time and place. Uh, everyone always says, oh, this isn't the time. I've torpedoed dinner parties, dude. I've had some horrible performances, like on some of this abundance stuff. And I'm like, dude, we need to grow, and growth is good. And people, like a German guy telling me, dude, his eyes were, he's like, what do you mean we need to grow like this? He viewed it as evil. And I'm like, and I've just given up. So if I run, I feel like no one can say, hey man, this isn't the time. Like, you shouldn't really, it's like, okay, hold on. If I'm actually running, then let me go there.
Talking about things that are under attack, I think what you just said will resonate with a lot of people. But at the same time, I know a lot of people, immigration obviously is such a hot topic, and
Yes.
ICE raids happening in California.
Yep.
And I want to talk about what you'll be running as and your party position later on. I know you've already said you're not left or right, but the immigration issue, it's a hot one. What's your view on immigration right now, and these ICE raids happening in LA?
Yeah. If you look at a lot of this stuff is 80-20 issues. So I think most people want a secure border. Most people, if you are a criminal and you are an illegal immigrant, most people think it's reasonable you should get deported. That doesn't, like, if you are here illegally and you're gone. I'm sorry. Like, most people, and look at the polling, like, it sounds mean, but it's like, that's just a reasonable thing. People want to feel like their border secure. And then another piece of this is, no one's talking about the fentanyl. No one's talking about the fentanyl stuff. The biggest cause of death from 18 to 45-year-olds is drug overdose, and it blows my mind that Trump. I think he's heavy-handed in a lot of the ways he does things. It is interesting. Why didn't Biden talk about this stuff? Like, people, I know someone that died of overdose. These are real issues that really get to the heart. People see their communities. I mean, even in Santa Monica, like one of the richest cities in the world, you see this stuff everywhere. It's like, why is it crazy? And it's so funny because the counter will sometimes be, oh, well, fentanyl pills are small and it's really hard to secure. It's like, dude, what? Like, okay, yes, we shouldn't spend like $1 trillion on the border and like try to prevent every single pill and like throw it's like, no, we shouldn't do that. But it's like, the Atlantic wrote a great piece a while back, and they said, if Democrats don't secure the border, fascists will. And I'm not here calling Trump a fascist, but what I am saying is, if you leave these issues if these common sense issues, like of securing the border, to the other party, like, it's not going to be a good thing. Like, I think that both the left and the right are completely cooked in a lot of ways. And as for the ICE raid specifically in Los Angeles, I think that I think the emphasis should absolutely be on criminals. I think that people that are here illegally that haven't done anything wrong, I don't think those people should be targeted. I think that a lot of what the Trump campaign has done is they've targeted criminals. Seems like there's the big dragnet, like in the way they tweet about it, dude. It's like they're really happy when they deport someone. It's like, no, I don't want to be happy when a criminal gets deported. Like, we just want a secure city. We just want to, we don't need to show off about it. But I think that, I think that it's tough because there's double-edged sword of this. A lot of, you talked to a lot of second generation, third generation Mexicans. A lot of these people want a secure border too. And also people that came here through the system, that came here legally. What are you supposed to say to them when, they waited several years before they could finally get over here and they did it right? And it's like, no, or you could just cross the border and get a job and you could just do it that way and you'd be totally fine. It's like, we need to have a balance here. Obama deported a hell of a lot of people. And he didn't, but I think you don't make it like, you should say, yo, we're securing the border, but don't make it like, I think there's a way to do it. I mean, these are people's lives they're talking about, people that haven't done anything wrong, getting deported. We need to be sensitive to that, but we also need to be sensitive to the system. We need to be a country of laws. As for like the left or the right, what I'm running as, I don't know my plan yet, to be honest. I have talked to some folks. We'll see. And the way the primaries in June, so we've got like 11 months. I have to file paperwork before that, but I'm pretty sure you can change your party up until pretty close. So I think the paperwork filings in March. But it's a top 2 vote getters move on. So you have, it doesn't matter what party you're part of. It's just the top 2 vote getters. So if you're a Democrat, if 2 Democrats could go onto the general, 2 Republicans could. That'll never happen here. But what you see is, especially in my district, it's extremely left leaning. I think it went 90% Kamala, 10% Trump. These are low information voters. A lot of people, no one even knows what a state assembly person is. Like I do because I'm running for this, but it's like, or state senator, very few people know who's representing them. If you want change, you'll probably vote R, and you won't even look up the person. You'll just, oh, this person's R, boom, vote for them. If you're kind of down with the left and whatever, you're fine, things are fine, you're just going to vote D. You're like, the Republicans are crazy, and they're crazy in a lot of ways. You're just going to vote D. Like, these people aren't going to my website and like trying to figure me out and stuff like that. So there's some game theory stuff here, and there's a right answer. Like, if I run as a Republican, maybe I stay as an independent, but at NPP, a no party preference, I think no one with NPP has ever won in California State Assembly in history. If I go as a Republican and compete against a Dem, like, there's no chance I'll win the general. Almost certainly.
Yeah.
I mean, there's
I think it was like a 50-point gap last
there's a 50-point gap.
Assembly 51st. Yeah.
There's a chance. If I run as a Dem, it's possible that I won't get it's possible I don't get the party establishment like endorsement, because I think there's some things here that I'm saying that they're not down for. The other person gets it, and then I'm a Dem versus an established Dem. I lose out, and then people just vote the R. So there's interesting stuff here. I don't know what I'm going to do yet. I'm really just trying to focus on, let's talk about the issues. Let's hear what people are saying. Let's get fired up. I'm going to start going, now that I have the website up and the video up, I got to start going door to door. I want to talk to people and just see. The question I want to ask is, what are your 2 biggest issues? Or like, what's the most important thing to you? I actually, I want to hear. I'm curious what people actually, I'm sure homelessness can be up there, but we'll see. I want to talk to people. I want to see. And, if I say, oh, I don't know what I'm running as yet, and we'll kind of talk it out. We'll kind of see what the deal is. And I'm not raising money right now. I just have full flexibility right now. We'll see. I mean, I literally just launched it today. So we'll see. We'll see what, we'll see what happens, but it's exciting.
Well, I know we're getting at time here. Where can people learn more if they want to follow what you're going to be up to? And then if you could leave people with just one message, what would that be?
Yeah. So Dick C. Lucas on Twitter, also dicklucas.com. Go there. I have a Substack. You click the Become a Dick button. It takes you to Substack, subscribe. I haven't done anything yet with it. I'm just collecting emails right now. And yeah, that I'm on Instagram too, but my main following is on X. Yeah, so Dixie Lucas, and I'm Dixie Lucas on Instagram. I'm not on TikTok. And that, yeah, that's another thing, dude. That, yeah, talk about rule of law, like Congress and the Supreme Court, like, yo, you need to ban this, and Trump just, he's just like, no, we're gonna make a deal. It's like, dude, that's insane to me. It's like that. I wanted TikTok banned. You anyway. My my single message to leave people with, I'd say, is seriously ask yourself, because a lot of things I'm talking about, it's growth. It's about more. It's about taller buildings. It's about more energy production, and I want you to feel that these are good, positive. These are good, positive things. They're going to help more people. They're going to help you, and they're also going to help more people. Growth, humanity, flourishing, going to the stars is a good thing, because the alternative is death. We are done if we don't do it. I mean, we are 100% chance we're going to die off if we don't go to another. Like, there's not even a debate. At some point, Earth's going to get blown away. Like, so something, I wrote a piece on this, but it's like Mother Nature's only hope, at least this Mother Nature on Earth, is humanity, because we can save every species on here, Noah's Ark style, because we can take them to another planet. At some point, Earth's gone. If we don't keep growing, we are done. We are 100% done. And I think some people are okay with that. Some people are like, oh, that's okay. Humanity doesn't, it's like, but most people are not. Even the people that aren't like pro-growthers, like, no, I think it's okay to have humans around. I think it's a good thing. So it's like, okay, well, if you think that that's a good thing, we don't have, the classic thing, oh, we have problems here, we can't go to Mars. Dude, we solve the problems here by going to Mars. You don't solve problems by, make no small plans. They have no magic to stir man's blood. The only way we get to Mars is like, or the only way we can solve the problems here, the only way we got to the moon, and a lot of that technology we use down here, like, we have to be positive. We have to think about the future. We have to think big, or we're completely done. So I think that allowing an apartment building to be built that's over 10 stories in your backyard is the same thing as going to Mars. I view all these things as one. It's just the same question. So yeah, that's the message. Growth is good.
Well, Dick, I appreciate your time. And if anyone wants to follow along, go to the Substack, become a Dick. I appreciate you, and best of luck in this upcoming election.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jarrett. Really appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
What?